So I am about to go on the television news, and I want to give you a little behind-the-scenes look at what goes on. Now, today is October 17th, 2025. Volodymyr Zelensky is in Washington, D.C. He's going to meet with President Trump. Maybe President Trump might release some Tomahawk missiles from Volodymyr Zelensky. We'll see. Now, I have been tasked to go on and talk about the Tomahawks and that meeting. One of the things I've been told I'm really good at is coming up with one-liners, right? Coming up with like really good sound bites that news organizations can clip and put on their Instagram. And that's probably because, how did I start? I started as a front-facing, selfie-talking YouTube and Reels guy. So here's the deal. My hit is where you come on as a talking head and you talk for about 4 to 5 minutes. My hit is at 10:15 on NEWSMAX. So I usually start preparing at least an hour before, sometimes the night before, if I really want to know the subject matter. And you're not told what to say. NEWSMAX, no organization has ever once told me what to say. Instead, you're kind of given like, this is the general topic, and here's what you're going to be talking about, and you just kind of tailor your message to the subject matter, but you have to know like a lot of things, because they might say, well, what about this thing? And you're like, oh crap, I didn't read about that. But typically I practice my one-liners. That way when a topic comes up, the one-liner seems like I just came up with it on the spot, but really I have like 10 notes surrounding my camera. So I got to come up with some of these one-liners, and it's going to be about the Tomahawk missile. So the Tomahawk missile's got a range of about 1,000 miles. It's mainly naval launched, so I guess a couple of things, it'll really change the dynamic. So I guess my one-liners will be, the Tomahawk isn't just a missile, it's a 1,000-mile message that says the United States is still the arsenal of democracy. And when I'm on TV, one of the things I do to let the host know that I'm about to stop saying, that I'm about to stop speaking, is that I start to talk just like this, which lets them know, hey, Ryan's about to stop. That way they can segue into the next topic. So maybe learning about the Tomahawk missile, would Putin be afraid of it? So maybe something like, Putin doesn't fear words, he fears range. And that's what the Tomahawk gives Ukraine, 1,000-mile range. So that could work. Maybe something about Zelensky, which would be something like, all right, a lot of people say Zelensky begs. Every time Zelensky comes to Washington, D.C., he's not begging. He is auditioning for continued relevance in a war that's losing the world's attention. All right, that might be kind of good. Putin is always kind of stalling. So Putin and Trump are supposedly going to meet in Hungary in about 2 weeks. So Putin has been trying to drag the war out. Putin always plays for time. Trump plays for headlines. The question is, who runs out first? No, that's not good. Putin always plays for time. President Trump plays for headlines. The question is, who runs out first? And it's probably not going to be President Trump. I like that better. I like that a lot better. And I'm going to write these things down when I get off camera here. So every time, so let's see, peace, Putin, peace, Putin, peace. There might be an alliteration there. Putin, peace. Every time Trump talks peace, Putin hears an opportunity. But if Trump can actually freeze this war, he's going to own the headlines for a decade. He's going to own the Every time Trump talks peace, Putin hears opportunity. If Trump can actually freeze this war, he's going to own the headlines for a decade. All right, so that's kind of good. Shipping containers. So one of the things with the Tomahawk missile is that they're mostly sea launched, and they are now can be launched from the land via shipping containers. All right, I think I know where to go with this. The United States was the pioneer in the 40-foot shipping container. And a couple of years ago, we thought, hey, let's put cruise missiles inside of our shipping containers, strap them to the bottom of an LCS, and now we have long-range capability. Well, that's some good news for Ukraine, because someone in the Pentagon thought, hey, let's take that 40-foot shipping container and put that thing on a truck. Now Ukraine can have these trucks of death swarming around the country, ready to fire cruise missiles deep into Russian oil industry at a moment's notice. All right, so let's see how it works out. The main issue with the Tomahawk missile for Putin is that these things can be launched from anywhere. Now, the Tomahawk is traditionally a naval-launched weapon, and kind of like Pimp My Ride, Exhibit essentially took 4 Tomahawk missiles, stuffed them in a 40-foot shipping container, and said, hey, I hear you like missile trucks, so we put a missile on your truck. So now you can get a truck with a 40-foot shipping container loaded with 4 Tomahawk missiles that can drive anywhere in Ukraine and launch from anywhere. This is a major, major threat to Russia. And it's really brilliant what President Trump did here, because he is holding a stick in one hand and holding a carrot out in the other, because it's going to take a couple of months to get people trained up on how to use these weapons systems.
Right. And obviously, to Emma's point there, you're hearing the phone ring from Vladimir Putin after the Tomahawk missile was mentioned, but there was another missile that was already being used by the UK. It is the Storm Shadow missile. Brian, if I could stay with you just on this point, you see obviously the range of 155 miles, speed very fast, obviously 728 miles per hour. Can you talk about a little the difference, if you can, between the Tomahawk missile, the Storm Shadow? It appears that the phone call happened after the discussion about a Tomahawk missile, not necessarily the Storm Shadow. What is the difference?
Well, the major difference is that the Tomahawk can be placed in a shipping container and fired from land. The Storm Shadow missile is an air-launched weapon, and right now Ukraine only has one platform that can launch that particular missile, and that is the Su-24. Ukraine doesn't have a lot of those, I believe around 12 Cold War era Su-24s that you can strap this thing to, because it is so heavy. So the major difference here is that when Ukraine fires a Storm Shadow missile, Russia has an idea of where it's coming from, because it knows where those aircraft are based. But a Tomahawk missile in a shipping container can be anywhere in the country. All right, so that kind of worked. So here's the funny thing. So I did, I wrote out those items, I practiced those items, and then they asked me a question that doesn't fit any of those things, and I was able to pivot. And I think it was Exhibit that did Pimp My Ride, but I just kind of pulled that one, out of thin air. So hopefully it was Exhibit that did Pimp My Ride. But yeah, that's what it looks like behind the scenes. So hey guys, watch NEWSMAX. Thank you guys so much for watching me. You can support the channel going to ryanmcbeth.substack.com. Thank you for watching.
In the modern age of progress and preparedness, one thing separates the professional from the amateur: appearance. That's why forward-thinking Americans choose Bunker Branding Apparel, the official uniform of those who get things done. Each shirt is precision engineered and field tested under rigorous conditions such as extended YouTube filming operations, Substack editorial duty, and the occasional internet argument. Designed for comfort, durability, and undeniable sense of tactical cool. So remember, citizens, when you're defending democracy, refueling freedom, or simply mowing the strategic lawn, Bunker Branding keeps you mission ready, wrinkle-free, and unmistakably American.